speaker is away for this week, I am acting as chair, and I'll call the meeting to order for Monday, November 8th, 2021, Bristol Select Board meeting. First item is just a review agenda for any additional removal or adjustment of any items. Val, what have you got? Hold on, Val, your microphone is muted.
Right. Possible addition if the select board wants to add it, and that is follow-up discussion either in open or executive session under contract negotiations about the town quotes.
The town report quotes.
Right.
Okay.
Can she turn up a little? I could hardly hear her.
Yeah, do you have can you adjust your microphone, Val? Seems lower than it normally is.
Yeah.
How about now?
There we go.
Yeah, it was way down low. Huh. I think it was when I was at the meeting before and we were having all the echo problems.
Oh.
I turned it down. Sorry about that. So should I repeat what I just said?
Sure.
That if the select board wants to add it, their discussion about the town report quotes that were voted on at the October 25th meeting, either in open session or executive session under contract negotiations.
Okay. What are other members' thoughts on this?
I think it would be good to discuss it.
Go ahead, Darla.
I just said I think it would be good for us to discuss it. I don't know that it needs to be an executive session. Someone can answer that question better than me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if we're just talking process and confirming or changing our decision, I don't think it needs to be an executive session.
Okay.
I mean, are we thinking about changing our decision, or is it just reiterating what we've already decided for this particular item?
I think there's probably some discussion about it. What,
Okay.
The process. Or
Do you want to put it under other business?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. 2, overview of Zoom meeting operation procedures, all that usual good stuff. Rules for participation: mute the microphone, being recognized by the chair if you want to speak. Next, public forum. If anyone has anything that's not on this evening's agenda and they wish to raise it in public forum, now is the time to do that. Anybody in the room there?
what are you here for?
Bristol Church?
Yes, you are. First Baptist Church?
Yes. Yeah. Nope, they do not. They're
Okay,
already on the agenda.
We had one. Linda, do you have a question for public forum or a statement?
Yes.
Your hand.
Yes. I just wanted to say that the Bristol Dems are organizing an event on Thursday that you all might be interested in. It's about housing issues in Bristol. And we have Elise Schenbacher, who's the executive director for the Addison County Community Trust, talking about what's happening in terms of apartments behind the fire station. And we have Katie Raycroft Meyer, who is the county planner for the Addison County Commission, talking about Bristol issues. I think it would be very interesting for people to get more information on all this. So I invite you all. It's a Zoom meeting, and the Zoom is on Front Porch Forum. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Linda.
Linda, what was the date on that meeting?
Thursday.
Thursday. Thank you.
Yeah, it's Thursday at 7. Oh, Darla, please come. That would be great.
Okay. Anyone else for public forum? Okay. Department head roundtable. A little update from department heads. Let's start. I know Eric's in the room there. Eric, anything to report for Public Works?
No, we're pretty much on track for winter. So no, everything's good right now. So
okay,
just going along.
Okay, I have a question for you. It was raised by someone. regarding we did the salt or the sand barrels last year on Main Street. A person asked what the ratio would be for sand and salt. And I know last year, because we'd had the newly paved Main Street, we did more sand versus salt. Is that ratio going to change this year? Can we do more salt now, just in terms of ice melting? Is that possible? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Right now, it's already mixed up as a 50-50 blend.
Okay.
We could add a little bit more of salt to the mix before we bring it down. That's not a big deal.
Okay. I mean, do you think it would help? Would it help in terms of ice removal? I mean, there are different schools of thought in terms of melting the ice or putting sand down to be able to, so you're not slipping on ice. What's your mix for sidewalks?
Normal sidewalks are 50-50.
Okay.
I could add some more salt to what we bring down there. So I could possibly bump it up to like a 75-25.
Okay. If that's not too much of an inconvenience, it just means less sand and dirt tracked into businesses. So if you're able to do that without much trouble, I think that would probably be, businesses would appreciate that.
All right. Yeah, I'll give it a whirl.
Okay. Thanks, Eric.
Yep.
Let's call on Bruce. Anything to report from the police department?
Yes, thank you. Just want to remind everybody that as of November 1st, the winter parking ban is in effect. There's no overnight parking on village streets. We're also collecting cell phone numbers of anybody that wants a text notification as a reminder of when we are plowing on Main Street, or when the Main Street, when the light is on and they have to move from Main Street to another location. So if somebody wants to leave their cell phone number with us, we're happy to send out a group text as a reminder, so we're not ticketing or towing vehicles. And the new lettering is on the side of the truck.
Oh, fantastic. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Brett.
And can I ask Bruce a question?
Sure.
Bruce, do we usually email or message people who buy permits in the past saying, look, it's November 1st. If you don't have your permit, you should, or do we post it on Front Porch Forum?
Sharon
shaking her head.
Yep. She's always on top of it.
Okay.
Excellent. Great. Thank you, Bruce. Oh, hang on a sec. Getting a chat from Jill here. Do you want to jump in, Jill?
We're just thinking about trying to avoid preventable leaks over the winter time. And what we have a couple times each winter is some of the mobile homes and or trailers will have skirting around them and a heat trace on the pipe underneath. It'd be great for those homeowners to just kind of get a reminder, and anyone else that might have a situation where their water line is not in a heated space when it goes interior, to just make sure that there's heat trace and that they're doing what they can to insulate and keep that area heated, because it will prevent a lot of meters from popping and underneath buildings getting really wet.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
Brett, fire department.
Good evening, everyone. Just one update for the select board. I'd like to report that the town of Bristol, we have been able to sell the 1997 Spartan pumper. So that vehicle is now in Virginia. It left last Thursday on a lowboy, but extremely pleased that the department found a use for it in its current condition, and that we, let's see, what we advertised it for, we had to pay the advertising company the commission. We, the town of Bristol, generated in revenue approximately $14,900, which is right in line with the $15,000 we have currently shown in our apparatus replacement plan as revenue generated from the sale of that vehicle. So that's good news.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. Fantastic. Okay, thank you. Taylor.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to hop on and give an update on the hub. for our numbers and just some other things that are going on. So
Taylor, you might want to check your volume too, your audio volume. It seems kind of low.
oh no, is it? Okay. Better?
Oh, that might work.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
So recently, the past few months, we've had record-breaking attendance, at least in our records, which is really cool. For June, we had a 25% increase after our from the average of the past since 2015, excluding last year because we had like three people last year because of the pandemic. July, 199% increase. So we had 345 logins. In the past, the highest number was 156 logins in July, which was really great. August, we saw a 47% increase, September 42, October just a 7% increase over the average of the past 5 years. And so that it's cool because it, I think a lot of folks are familiar with the constant battle that has been the hub of trying to get kids in there and utilizing it because it's a fantastic space. It's a fantastic resource that the town runs, but it has been underutilized for several years. And so it's really exciting to see this increase in attendance and utilization, especially when we are faced with local, statewide, and national like mental health crisis among teens. So that the fact that they're utilizing this community resource and accessing this community that's meant to be for them is really cool. We're seeing a lot of kids that are coming in for the very first time, making accounts, and then coming back repeatedly. So it's going really well, which is really exciting. Some personnel changes is Taylor Goodwin has given her notice, and her last day is next Tuesday. She is moving back home to North Carolina. Taylor's been with us since I started in 2018. She joined us with as an AmeriCorps member, and then we've been able to keep her on in some way since then. So she's been doing 2 days a week at the hub for this year, which has been super helpful. It allows Alex and I to kind of flex our schedules a little more. And then for those that don't know, I am 7 months pregnant, which is very exciting. So we are now also on the hunt for someone to come in as a temporary person to help with drop-in hours while I'm on maternity leave come January. So we've posted some things and we're looking. So if anyone knows anyone, we are accepting applications and we'll begin reviewing in a few weeks. All things are good, and it looks like we're just going to continue to crank along, and hopefully the pandemic doesn't shut us down again.
Mhm.
Let's hope not. So how do you account for those really high jumps? Did you change something in terms of how you were advertising or how you were drawing people in, or is it just like the time of the year in terms of the increase of people using the space?
So specifically for the summertime, one of the things that happened is we began a partnership with ELP. They started a teen summer camp, or a camp that was directed at our age group, and they encouraged their participants to come to the hub afterwards because their camp ends at 4, but we were open till 6. So we had a lot of kids that came over right after that, and the camp was at the high school, so they would just walk over. So that's one of the things. And then I think some other impacts is that we, through a couple of the different like feeder programs, like our summer camps, we're seeing the kids that enrolled in summer camps are now coming to the hub because as they gradually get old enough, they start attending. The kids that are participating in like our scooter competitions or utilizing the skate park on a regular basis, just utilizing all these programs that we've been working on investing in and developing so that they become more accessible and more family friendly, so that you start using the space when you're 9 and then or 10, and then once you turn 12, like today we had a kid that has done our summer camps, was in our competitions, and he turned 12 over the weekend, and he came and he goes, "Taylor, can I make an account?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, that's congratulations, happy birthday. And so I think we're seeing that. And I think also just the team has been really committed before me. And I think during my time, we've been really committed to just doing some reputation repair for the hub, which I think we've seen a significant impact on, of trying to make it feel and be recognized as a safe space that is like, the purpose is that it's a community for teens so that they can feel involved, feel important, and feel included, where we know through a lot of data collection resources like the YRBS that a major protective factor is teens feeling involved and valued in a community, and it's really hard to get that to happen. So we've been focusing on that, and I think we're seeing the impacts.
That's great. What about the ratio? I was always curious about the ratio of male to female in terms of the hub. I know that's always sort of skewed to the more male demographic. Has that changed over the last year?
It has. It's still definitely skewed to more male, but we're seeing more females come in and more folks that are non-binary or gender non-conforming as well. I would say we're probably at the 70-30 mark, maybe 60-40 on some days. We're having a lot more, I've noticed anecdotally, a lot more folks that present as female making accounts for the first time and then coming back again. It's definitely a significant shift in my time since I've been there. I think when I started, the ratio was probably more like there's probably like 3 girls that I knew when for like my first 3 months. Right. So we're seeing, you know, a lot more, like 30, 40 girls that come in depending on days. Because right now I haven't done the math for this current batch of kids, but we're serving, on average, we serve around, no, I did. So about 120 kids we're serving. And so they sign in at different points, but that's when I did the math over at the very beginning of the school year for a grant report, I found that we served about 120 kids.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Okay, thank you very much. I wish Taylor Goodwin all the best. I've known her since she started, and I know that she'll be missed at the hub as well as at the library as well.
She will be. We're super excited. She's really excited for the change, but it's a blend of being really sad to see her go and really excited for her.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you, everyone. Moving on. Regular business. Item 1 is consider Town Green Park use request for First Baptist Church of Bristol for an outdoor live nativity story on December 12th.
You guys want to come up? Or at least a couple of you. You don't all have to come up, but.
I think Valerie has the information. Do you all have that information too that she had?
Yeah.
Yes, we
had
did.
access to it.
Do you have any questions on it?
No, you guys had live animals last year, didn't you? Or
The last time we did it in 2017, and we did have some live animals, and it seemed to work out. Yeah. But yeah, any questions?
I have one. Who's the third person with you, Mrs. Comley?
My husband.
No.
Yeah, and then
This is Erin Bent.
Erin
She's
Bent. Okay, thank you.
Bristol Fellowship Church. It's actually the 5 town churches that are putting it on. Not all of them are taking part, but about 4 or 5 of them are taking part. So it's not just Baptist, which is always fun. It's good when we can do things together.
I have a question more for Ian, I think. Ian, this is a few years ago, they used to do it. They do a thing on a park, and they would march with candles down the street.
That's not this.
It's not the same group.
No.
No, that's different. That was Lumen.
It was Lumen. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. So for this, is there any change from past years that you've done it? Has the scale increased, or is it just as you've normally done it? Obviously, the animals are a little bit different than maybe past ones, but anything else that's changed?
No, I wouldn't think so. No, we had the stations last time of various scenes. We have guides leading the people around, and they have a dialogue that explains things. We'll probably have some singing, but we'll have to decide, how active COVID is, whether the singers are further away or they wear masks or what. So we'll try to be aware of that and adjust to it.
My only concern would be the fire pits. I mean, I don't know what they look like, but that was my concern for safety.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
we did have.
I can
Sorry.
tell you about one year they borrowed mine, so I know exactly what that one looks like. But you've used the fire pits in the past, right?
That's right, and we try to have an adult there, and to be sure the kids don't start playing in it, and we'll be sure we have either a bucket of water or a, what do you call them?
Fire extinguishers.
Thank you, fire extinguisher around it. So we'll be very careful and clean up properly after, and we'll clean up after the animals too.
Now, the fire pit's off the sidewalk, because your main, Main Street is the sidewalk. So what do they do? Have them off behind where the.
That's right. Yeah, they'll be closer to the actors. We'll be beside the sidewalk in an area. If we don't get snowed out or something, or rained. We would like to ask that the town be sure that the sidewalk is sanded and salted, because one year it was a little precarious and we did have somebody fall. Thankfully, they didn't get hurt. But if they could be sure, if not, just let us know. If you can't do it, we'll be sure we get something down there to make it secure.
My guess is it will depend on if there's weather that weekend, whether they will be out doing them. If there's no weather,
If there's no weather that day, and it happens to be that the sidewalks might get, melted and then it freezes again at night. If there's no weather to preclude that, we won't be out.
So should probably plan on having something with you just in case.
Okay.
I would make a backup plan of
Yeah.
a private
Plan B.
contractor to go
Okay.
up through there.
But if we're out plowing, I can definitely have them sanded that night or that afternoon.
Okay,
And have them
great,
sanded.
great, yeah. But we'll
Yeah,
have some.
And probably by that time, we'll have the Main Street barrels out. And so you could pull from that if you wanted to. I know it's across the street on Main Street versus in the park, but at least it's somewhat near if you wanted to grab some material from there.
Okay, great.
And Aaron, if you want, you can come over to the shed and I'll give you a couple 5-gallon pails of sand too. So.
Thank you.
Val, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to make the comment that Meredith pointed out this morning that they planned to have fire extinguishers by the fire pit.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
And I'll make a motion, we allow request for the First Baptist Church, it says here, but the 5 town churches to have their fire pit on December 12th from 1 to 6.
Okay. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. Michelle seconds. Any further discussion?
Fire pit or 2, come see me.
Okay.
You get Darla, you'll have 3.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Fantastic. So we have a motion second. All those in favor, say aye. Raise your hand. All those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Okay. All right. Next up on the agenda is the Pine Street water line replacement. And we have Alan Heisinger presenting that.
Hey, hi, everybody.
Alan, the floor is
Thanks.
yours.
All right, thanks for having me up tonight. Just wanted to keep in sort of on your radar because this project's moving fairly quickly now that we've finally started it. But we're still pushing towards trying to get 90% design plans in front of the state by December 1st. I've gotten some indication that because of their delays on their end, they're not going to really bypass projects like they have in the future or in the past this year, just because they're so short-staffed right now and they can't even get to a lot of the applications that are being submitted. That being said, I still have a goal for us to get our 90% plan submitted by that time. So that's still on our list. And we made a lot of progress this past week. I shared the plans with Valerie and hopefully she can pull those up and we can just do a brief look, see at what finding out so far. Essentially, we're showing the existing water line in generally on the south edge of the pavement on Pine Street from North Street all the way down through to Liberty. And we're proposing to set the new water line 5 feet to the north or closer to the center line of the road down there. That way we hopefully won't disturb the existing water line, which we know is fragile while we're building the new water line, and can tie over services without too much damage to the existing line. Obviously, the contractor will be prepared for working near a 1905 water line, but hopefully there won't be too many incidents of disturbance. I guess what we started bringing up here, it's a little difficult to see, but this first sheet shows basically from the entrance to the town garage, highway department, over to Liberty Street and a little bit to the east of that. We right now are showing a new water line over to the town garage entrance, but not any further. I'm not clear what you want to do on that site. Do we want to end our water line and just send a tie into the existing service going to the town garage, thinking that it might change in the future? Is there any needs for additional water at the town garage than what they receive now? But that's something just to consider, and you don't have to answer that tonight, but just something to think about. But we thought a new 8-inch water line from Liberty to the west was important, at least to the town garage property line. I should repeat that this is all proposed to be 8-inch water lines from North Street all the way to the town garage. This next sheet continues to the east to Munsell Avenue, past Bristol Works. And one thing I should point out, and I had a discussion with Joel, and we've asked listeners to take a look at it as well. To the west of Maple Street, it's our understanding that the right-of-way for Pine Street is only a 2-rod width. It's not a 3-rod road like most other village streets. So we have shown a 2-rod right-of-way. The only thing that really impacts for us is where we place curb stops, where we place fire hydrants. They won't be quite as far off the road as you would a 3-rod road. And before we get construction funding for this project, the town attorney will need to sign off that all the improvements are in the town right of way. So we don't do an actual survey to prepare these plans. We use tax map information and best available information, but we're not going to spend the money on a boundary survey for every lot on Pine Street just to put a water line down the side of the road, or in the road in this case.
Alan, can I ask a question? Because I think I missed. You said the existing water line right now is the little dotted line we see. Is that correct?
Yep, near the southern edge of the pavement. Yep.
Right. And then the new water line is the solid one. So we're moving the new water line. That's going to be underneath the pavement, closer to the center of the roadway. That's where it's going to stay.
That's correct. We've talked about potential future sidewalk on Pine Street, so we thought it was best to go to the north of the existing water main, and especially given some of the tight right-of-ways that we have. It just seemed to make more sense in this case. We're also looking at some stormwater issues along Pine Street, and we will need some of those side areas in the right-of-way to probably put some stormwater piping in. So that's why we're trying to reserve the edges of the roads. So moving down to the next.
Alan, does the existing line just stay there then? It's dug up, new line is put in, and the existing is just capped or whatever, and it just sits there forever?
Exactly, it's abandoned in place.
Okay.
So at each intersection, so the next street that comes up is Maple Street, we will sort of blow up that intersection so the contractor knows exactly what fittings and he'll need to use to tie into each street. So those are details that we need to add to the plan, but right now we're just trying to get the general layout down through here. And I did drive the site with Joel. We won't tell the police chief what we were driving in, but we drove the site. Stormwater issues, and we're trying to address those in this project as the best we can. I'm currently looking at a couple of outfalls and locations for outfalls for stormwater drainage off of Pine Street, knowing the few issues that we have.
How many issues do we actually have for stormwater?
Well, there's about 4 locations. There's about 4 locations starting Jackman Drive is one where a lot of water, even from North Street, the end of North Street, comes down Pine Street, as well as off of Taylor Avenue and heads down Jackman Drive. That's a pretty tough space to try and solve a stormwater problem because their driveway is all paved. They've got a lot of buildings tight to a very narrow right of way. So looking for ideas to sort of either bypass Jackman Drive with the stormwater drainage or pipe it around Jackman Drive. So we're a little early in that process in terms of solving the stormwater problem, still gathering some information. There's no, when you go through like this, you've got existing driveway elevations to deal with, you've got existing driveway locations, you've got landscape yards, you've got buildings, you've got houses. There's no stormwater right away or easement down through there right now. So we might have to approach a couple of property owners to see if we can put some stormwater outlet piping on the property. Let's see, we're going down to, here's the connection on North Street. In 2005, we did the North Street waterline replacement project with Jay Hutchins, I believe was the contractor. So at the very end of this project, or the very beginning, depending on where they decide to start, they'll be tying into the valve that we left on the side of North Street, right in that location. So that's the general layout of what we're looking at. These will be all new water services to the right-of-way with curb stops for each service. I know in the past, Bristol has talked about ideas to try to encourage folks to replace their services all the way to the house. So that could be a discussion, or we talk to folks beforehand as we're putting this project out to bid to encourage them to get somebody lined up to do that. Sometimes you can have the very contractor that's doing the contract work on those, but it just can become a little messy, quite honestly, when you're trying to administer the main infrastructure contract and they're working for a private landowner. So it'd be better if they hired their own contractor to do that work, or if the town decided to hire somebody and have them pay through their user fees somehow, that's an option as well. Just some considerations to have. I really don't need answers to these questions tonight. I just wanted to show you our progress and on the survey, put the plans together, and we're looking at putting details on those plans now to gear up for the 90% submission.
Alan, I know Ian asked you about the old water lines. Is there a reason we don't pull them out?
Cost.
Why would we leave them? Just cost. It's just a cost issue.
So the existing is cast iron. What's the new?
Well, we've done ductile iron in the past in Bristol. We've also done PVC. So I'm flexible on that. If the town has a specific desire at this time, we're flexible. What I've done in the past also is, given the variability of pricing these days, is I've bid projects both ways and gone with a low bidder on the low priced material. We've done that.
Alan, what's the life expectancy of plastic versus ductile iron? What's in there now, ductile iron?
No, cast
They're
iron.
both.
Cast iron.
I'm sorry.
So cast iron's in there now, and it's 115 years old, 116 years old. What's ductile iron last longevity versus plastic?
I don't think there's a huge, quite honestly. I think plastic's been around long enough to say it's over 50 years. And even though your cast iron's been in there 120, it certainly didn't last that long. It's had a lot of issues for the last 30 plus years, I would say, in terms of leakage. So I don't think there's a huge difference in longevity between plastic or PVC or HDPE for that matter. I think all these pipes have come a long ways in the last 20 years. The other thing that we need to submit for the project are project specifications. So I just wanted to show you that we've got those. If anyone wants to review this document in detail, I'd be happy to share it with you. But those are in the works as well. And that's the, all detailed specifications for all the materials that'll be used, as well as the bid form and the contract documents that the state makes us use. So it's a lot of boilerplate. Very similar to what we used on the West Street project.
Let me ask you this question. I know there was also stuff about submitting for the, or maybe that's the next thing about the drinking water state revolving loan fund. What are the chances we're going to have funds from this new plan that passed for infrastructure for any of this?
Yeah, it's anybody's guess how the state's going to decide to implement those funds. Right now, they don't even know how much they're getting. But the programs that they've got in place right now are pretty good, and they're on tap to get money to do this project. We don't know the specifics of what the deal is going to be, but there's been a lot of talk of some portion being grant funded or at least forgiven down the road. The state doesn't like to use the word grant. They rather give your loan than give you a grant. So their terminology, not mine.
Alan, is if the board decides to go with, and I hope we do, to copper lines to the houses, go right to the basement, to the new meter, because there's probably what, 65 to 70 connections down that street?
Yeah, I haven't actually counted them up yet, Joel.
But is that eligible for funding or not?
The private lines will not be eligible for funding, only what's in the town right away.
Okay.
We could do the revolving loan fund, I believe.
Linda, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. So you're going to have to go down the middle of the road, you're going to have to pull up the tarmac and set it down. So it's going to be along, I live on Pine Street. I'm just wondering how all that will be.
Yeah, it's certainly disruptive, Linda. And, the contractor will be required to maintain one-way traffic or at least set up detours if they're working across the road. But yeah, during construction, there'll be trenches, excavation for the water line. The pavement will get pulverized from one side of the road, at least to the center line, and maybe a little bit more. We haven't really talked with the town yet about what they want to do with Pine Street after the project. There's a couple different ways to go about it. You can do a trench excavation and then do an overlay of paving to get the whole street one new paved surface in the end. The town of Middlebury likes to grind up their streets and add a chloride material to it and then pave over top of that. So they use their existing pavement as a sub base essentially. And they've had good success with that. So that's something we're familiar, we could talk about. But given that it's a water line project, only a certain width of the street will be eligible for reimbursement costs. In other words, the state will say, okay, you need to dig a trench 7 feet wide. We'll pay for 9 feet of pavement, but no more. So the town would have to pick up the expense of the extra 9 or 11 feet of pavement in order to get a full width pavement in there.
Oh, we could just leave it dirt,
Oh, thanks.
It's an option. But everywhere there's a service, you're going to have a trench across the road as well. So an overlay is a good way to go. I actually kind of like the way Middlebury's been in the past 10 or 15 years, and they have had good success. They'll grind the whole road first, and then it'll be dirt during construction until the final paving is done. But that's something we haven't really talked about yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Val, you had a question? Your hand was raised. Mute.
It's about the lead packed joint program, and is that an option at all at anymore, or
Yeah,
we're done with that?
we're done with that. Yeah, unless we find lead pipe or lead service lines, there's opportunity there, but I don't think Bristol has a lot of those.
Val, what's the timeline for this? Linda's asking about road being torn up and obviously has concerns living on Pine Street. How far are we away from actually having that happen?
Well, it's my understanding that we still need to have a bond vote
Right.
after all this is done, and then apply for construction funding. So, Alan, what's your best guess time frame?
Bond vote's just the water district.
I guess the earliest would be the second half of next
Okay.
Second half
Why
of
would it be the whole?
year. 21. 22, I'm sorry. So
Wow.
you could do a bond vote, apply for the funds, and the funds would be available July 1st.
Val, is this bond vote with just the water district users? Is this the whole town for the bond vote?
I think the funding agencies require the entire town.
So is the entire town then responsible for paying for this?
We would need to clarify that, but that's my understanding. That's my experience with past bond votes.
I think you're right, Val, because when they did the bond for North Street, when they did all the way up North Street, Alan maybe referred to my memory, he was on the board, I think. They did all the way from Pine Street down to what's down almost to Christine Lathrop's down Plank Road. The town had to pass a bond vote if the water department went defunct or went under, so to speak. The town's got to be responsible for it. So even though came out of the water department, the town didn't pay for it. Non-water users didn't pay for it, just the water users paid for that.
Right. That's correct.
Okay.
And that
Linda,
would
you
be
had a
the
question?
same.
Yes, I just wondered, is the select board gonna put in that bond also to repave like he was saying they did in Middlebury, or is that gonna be part of the funding for it?
I expect the bond vote would cover as much of the expense as it can. I think it's better to, you don't want to inflate the figure that's needed, but we want to make sure that there's enough authorized to cover the expenses. And we would need to show or demonstrate what we expect to be offset by grant or loan funding or other funding.
But you're not gonna leave me as a sand road.
I think Joe will have something to say about that too.
Oh, yeah, Joel.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Linda, what they told us at the bank 5 years ago when they started the big dig project down there. It's gonna be dirty, loud, and long.
Oh,
So,
okay.
not 5 years like we put up with in Middlebury. No.
No, it shouldn't take us that long to do this.
No, but no, that's why it hasn't been paved, that whole street, because we're waiting for this water line to come in. But Eric felt bad last year and at least paved those few sections where the road was just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know
Sorry,
maybe I saw VTUM's on here, Jill. If you could look at a couple of, because we were basing the water line location on some valves, some trenches that we saw, and we're pretty sure we got the valving arrangements correct. But if you could double check us if you've had any of these holes open recently on where we've located the existing water line, that would be helpful.
Yeah, actually, as you were speaking and saying it was on the southern side, I was opening pictures on my phone from the last 3 years of repairs going, was it really there? Yep. It really is there.
Okay,
So we'll
good, thank
double
you.
check the valves though, because those are, most of them are super old. There's, I think, one that's been replaced or two. One that's been replaced.
They've been the most exercised of the whole system.
But yeah, it's been exercised.
And I know Liberty Street was open, a while ago, and those valves were, I think just sort of figured out where all those went to, and I'm not sure I got them right on the drawing. So if that's something you could check for me, that would be great.
Yeah, there's been quite a few repairs done in that kind of corner, that quadrant of the system in the last.
And that's why obviously Pine Street was the first priority in the preliminary engineering report. So
Yeah, I think where you guys have your top priorities for areas in the next 5 to 15 years they're right on.
Okay, good.
Alan, will you or estimate or numbers when you get all done have a consideration for us to look at for if we pulled copper to every basement, so to speak, replaced from curb stop to the basement?
Yeah, we can provide that cost as well. Yeah, an estimate anyway.
Okay. My theory is like I said, if we have 60 to 70 connections down through there and 10 of them are old leakers, it's nothing to the people to replace those because they're not getting paid for that water. They're not paying for that water. So we're going to do maybe $1 million repair down this street. Instead of 10 leakers going to the houses, we're really not improving it. And that's my theory. And I think we really ought to, and what Go Up Middlebury did was I talked with them, and they have it when they do a new water line replacement, they pull everybody's new service. And eventually when they do every water line in town, everybody's going to get a new service. So everybody pays for, everybody in the water district is going to pay for 70 connections on Pine Street next year. But if we do Elm Street the following year, some people are going to, so eventually everybody will pay for everybody's connection. We'll have all new copper. That's my logic behind that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more discussion on this?
So I'd like to come back again in 2 weeks if I could and give you an update where we're at that point, because we'll be right before the deadline of December 1st, and the plan should be a little bit further along by then.
Okay. Thank you very much. We welcome you back with updated information.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. 3, consider authorization to submit loan application to the State Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund for step 2 final design of the Pine Street Water Line Replacement Project. Authorized town administrator as representative.
So hopefully folks had a chance to look at the form that needs to be signed and submitted with the application. We're working on the application now. This is to fund the work that Alan and his team are doing right now. The loan, I believe, is in the area of $33,256 is what they've estimated. And the sooner we get the loan application in, the sooner the funds will become available to offset this project.
Okay. I make a motion, we authorize this to go through.
We have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
With Val as the authorized
Yes.
signer.
With Val as the authorizing.
Okay.
Just, I guess, question for you, Ellen, on this. So if our big 90% we're trying to get later on, for what we just talked about in number 2 on the agenda, doesn't go through, this is a forgivable loan then?
Yeah, and even if you if it does go through, what's been happening on the recent funding projects is they are forgiving the planning. The preliminary engineering and the final design loans are being forgiven, or at least 50% forgiven. And then, so that reduces your loan amount, your overall project cost.
Okay.
But with all this new stimulus money coming, we really can't think what we're going to do next. I think it's going to be good. I hope it's going to be good news for a lot of towns.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
All those against, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Alan. Okay, item 4, consider grant application authorization request, Transportation Alternatives Program for Basin Street Slope and Main Street Storm Water Improvements. Just nonstop water this evening.
Right. Well, we applied last year to the program for the same project and did not get funded. And as usual, it's very competitive and more applications were received than the funds were available. We also applied to the transportation, the stormwater mitigation grant program, and also did not receive it this year. Similar reasons, but it's important to keep trying. I think this is one of the high priority projects for the town, and I think it's generally very competitive, and we just need to hit it at the right place at the right time. I believe there are still opportunities for putting together other funding to offset the project, the stormwater funding and transportation funding, and perhaps other opportunities. And we'll certainly, this will be on the list of considerations for the ARPA funding. Although we do need to be mindful of the federal funding can't be used for matches in certain other programs. So we'll have to pay attention to that. Yeah, so the application deadline is November 24th.
Okay, thank you. And also
And
mentioned
the funding is up to $300,000 through this program. The project estimate is over $700,000, but that's also very conservative estimates, and there's a healthy contingency in there too. So that's where we would need to, and it would be a multi-year project. So the funding could be bundled over several years. And it might be something we plan to borrow for if necessary, but hopefully we can package together enough over time, over a multi-year period to plan.
Okay. Is there anything, so as this progresses, we're applying and we're not getting it and applying and maybe not getting it again or whatever, is the scope of the project changing, or is that going to be, that's going to stay the same?
It has stayed the same.
Okay. You also mentioned in your
At this
report,
point.
you talk about in your report perhaps establishing a Basin Street and Main Street slope improvement reserve fund.
I did, yes. Thanks for catching that.
Sure. I mean, I think it's obviously something that we're going to need to take care of at some point, and so being able to put away a certain portion of funds towards that seems like the right approach. As we have done for many of the town projects.
And it could be something that gets used if this project still takes a long time to come together. I think the sidewalk on Main Street that's just above the outfall, the stormwater outfall, I guess that has required repair from time to time. And so if we did have a reserve fund for that purpose, then that could be used for those instances, those unplanned failures of the sidewalk because of the slope.
Is Eric still there? He's in the back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
When was the last time that was repaired, that section of sidewalk where that drainage is?
I think 2 years.
2 years ago.
We had we didn't replace any sidewalk, but we had to fix the bank about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I mean, it only took, I should say only, about 4 yards of stone to fix it, to bring it back up to grade again.
Is it washing away?
It's just, I don't know if it's washing away or if it's just settling.
Yeah.
Because you look down the bank, you don't see no mud or anything like that down on the outfall where it goes out through. So there's not anything accumulating. I don't know where it's going. But I think what it is a lot of the sidewalks got thrown over there, and there's some trees and stuff that got cut, and everything is just settling.
And it just will continue to get worse, right, over time. I mean, that's just still going to happen until we resolve that.
Yeah, until eventually it'll seek its resting point, but that could be quite a ways out.
I mean, once all filled with down to the bottom.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion on this, Valerie?
Yes, please.
Make a motion that we authorize the town administrator to apply for the transportation grant again for Basin Street slope and Main Street stormwater.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Say aye, raise your hand.
And the idea of a reserve fund that can be considered when we get into budget season.
Okay. All right. All those against, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
And there's the signature form is on the front counter in the town office.
I signed that today. Wait, was I allowed to sign that if we just did the motion right now? Okay. Let's see, where are we? 5. ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act, funding update, discussion of process and potential projects for funding, next steps.
So I don't have anything to report from the last meeting other than knowing that we are moving in the direction toward forming a new committee to focus on this. I've had conversations with Meredith at the rec department to see if Alex might have capacity to provide some administrative support to the committee like he did with the Emerald Ash Borer group, and he did a nice job with that. So it looks as though we haven't had a more in-depth conversation with him about it, but it looks like that might be possible.
Okay, that sounds positive.
Ian, did you talk to whoever you were going to talk to?
No, I haven't done that, and that's my fault. I apologize for that. It's been a busy 2 weeks for me, but I'm going to be doing that this week. So I'm going to be reaching out to members of the Planning Commission, the Conservation, and Energy to get interest from members, and then we'll be working on details in terms of sending out information, inviting the public, and specifics that we'd like to see for members for this committee, but I haven't had a chance to tackle that yet. Any other discussion on that from the public?
We received a request from the Bristol Rescue Squad to be added to the growing list of.
Okay.
I say the never ending list.
Santa Claus in town.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Moving on from that. 6, West Street Slope Repair Project, status update on that.
Yeah, I pretty much covered it in my TA report. The contract signing was Friday, so we're in. There was agreement that given the time of year and just the logistics of mobilizing, that they would not mobilize at this time and do any cutting, or because if they did, then they'd have to pay the access fee. And so they decided to there was agreement to just wait until next spring, assess the situation and go from there.
And the state was okay with that? Because I thought we had said there had to be some kind of indication that we started.
Right. Mike Lapointe felt that would be fine. We'll get the, the next step is I need to prepare a change order to extend the dates, the time, the contract period, and request. I need to get that executed, and then once that's executed, then I will submit the request to the funding agency for the grant extension. And Mike felt confident that they would approve it.
Well, a question for you. So we had 4 property owners, and 1 didn't compete to want to get in. So we have 3 property owners on this, correct?
Correct.
Putting their percentage in.
Correct.
So if we have a major catastrophe over there and more of that bank slides, and we go back to them and say, guess what? Your 40,000 went to 60,000. And they tell us, no, we're not interested anymore. What happens?
They're only responsible for 20% of whatever the additional is, but I get what you're saying.
The grant, yeah, she's right. The grant would still cover 75% of whatever that additional cost is. I'm reluctant to speculate on that at this point, because there are so many scenarios that could happen, or nothing could happen. It could, given the weather patterns lately, it might be a very mild winter. It might be.
Or should we at least, at the very most, and Ian, you can help out with this, get some pictures with a drone of what's there now? And then if we have a difference of opinion, what slid or didn't slide over the winter, we'll say, no, the pictures from, November of 2021 to June of 2022 look the same. So I'm just worried about the cost escalating here. And then we had, one backed out because of the cost, and then the other one say, you know what? I've decided to bag it. I'm selling this piece of property, getting out from under it.
If the contractor has not incurred any expenses, then it might be possible to pull the plug. But once the contractor incurs expenses on the project, then we have to see it through.
That was when we had the landowners in, their point was the number keeps changing on them. I remember we sat right here and said, the number keeps changing. We don't know we got a budget for. And then they just wanted a number. And now if it slides more, the budget number could really change. And I'm just nervous about them saying, you know what? It's time to sell it and get out from under this thing. I'm not speaking for the landowners, and I haven't talked with any landowners, but I don't want to see this thing escalate to, it was whatever, how many thousands of dollars, and now it's doubled. And they know that's, nobody can handle that except God. Then the thing slides, Mother Nature.
It's out of our control.
It's out of our control.
Right.
But it's in their control. If they say, no, I'm getting another dime out of me, I'm selling the place.
Well, I think they've already signed contracts though, right, Val?
Didn't they sign a contract with the money amount?
They did.
See, that's the thing. They signed a contract with a figure of budgeting.
Right.
Correct.
So do we have the option? So Val, you said we don't have until the contractor incurs work, we could potentially still not do the project. Can we revisit when the contractor is about to start, or obviously a little bit before
They'll
then?
notify us when
Okay.
they're monitoring conditions in the spring to see when the soonest that they can get in and get out. So they're motivated to start as soon as possible, as soon as practical, given the water.
So we could reevaluate then. Just obviously we're going to know if certain storms have come our way in the meantime, and so we have the opportunity to look at it again and just see how much has changed. And hopefully not much has changed, but just in case a great deal has changed for whatever reason, we still have the option to sort of look at that before the contractor starts doing work.
Right. I believe that's true. And the contractor did say that if there are minor changes in the scope, that they're not going to charge extra for that kind of thing. Some modest increases in quantities, that they understand the sensitivity.
So if it did change drastically over there, would the state would we have to reapply? Let's say it's an extra $200,000. Would we have to reapply for more money from the state?
No,
Or they cover the extra, they cover 75% of the extra 200,000 if it was.
They would cover 75% of that, and the grant funding is there. The Ireland Road project came in under budget, and this project is under budget. So there's more grant funding available if the costs do increase.
Okay.
I mean, our biggest worry is a very large rainstorm, correct? Which is sort of what set this whole thing off. I mean, less about the freezing and having snow, but more about large thunderstorm coming through, right?
Right. I mean, if something like that does happen, then I think we might need to sit around the table and discuss. And again, I'm really reluctant to speculate about this, but the town might need to consider whether to contribute as a stakeholder of some proportion.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to bring bad mojo to this, but it's something we should think about. I mean, obviously we hope now that it's getting into winter, getting colder, we're sort of out of large storms, so maybe nothing would happen, and we'll be, as we start in the spring, everything's going to be fine. But it is something that we should, as Jill raised the point, like we should think about this. What happens if it does change? And I don't know if we need to document. I mean, do we have any documentation just from what's happened up until now of that area?
I believe the engineers do.
Okay.
And at the contract signing, I made the point too that everything should be photo documented.
Okay, great. All right. So it sounds like we have that covered, which is good. And obviously we can reevaluate next spring and see what it looks like and then go from there. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Moving on. 7, appointment of town treasurer. May include deliberation and executive session.
Position.
I think you're froze, Val. But
Val is she's frozen. She'll come back hopefully.
I think we really only need to decide if we're doing 1 year or 3 years, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if that needs to be an executive session.
Yeah, I don't either.
No.
I mean,
Especially her TA report is public, so it's got the name here, so.
Hey Val, you there? We're losing you.
All in 3.
no, we've lost her. She's
Let me call.
Gone. Unless she's being very still.
She's a black box.
probably does. She's probably talking away, not even knowing that.
I know.
Come back, Valerie.
Calling her.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see if Jill can reach her.
No, she's back.
Coming there.
Valerie, you're frozen, so we'll put you on speakerphone, okay?
I think.
She's still frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But since I'm the host, I'm reluctant to log out and log back in.
Yeah. So you're on speakerphone.
Okay, thanks. Where were we? I was saying that Anthony Delmonico started today, that he's still working part-time for his current employer until next week, and he starts full-time next week.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the question for the select board is a 1 or 3 year appointment.
Well, I think when we appointed both Sharon and Jen, we did a 1 year appointment, and then if that went well, we then did a 3 year.
Recording stopped.
Uh-oh. Yeah, my thing just rebooted itself.
Yeah, it says now Town of Bristol is the host now.
I'm going to record this. Hang on one sec.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
Do we have the thing across the TV, they put on TV for having technical difficulties, the ball game will be back?
Let's end Val's call. There we go. And Val, you look like you're back. I'm recording now, so we can hopefully, Anit will hopefully have the whole thing, so just in case.
Oh, there she is. Okay.
She's got a
Yeah.
mic muted, Michelle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Val,
All right,
you're muted,
Yep.
so you can.
You're muted, Valerie.
There we go.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Sean
thank
says
you.
he's still recording, so we're all set. Okay, good. All right, so 1 year. That seems like what we've done in the past. How does the select board feel similar for this position?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go.
Start
One
out.
year and then
Then we'll look, yeah.
all goes well. That
Period.
Okay. Do you need a motion for that or just a consensus for 1 year?
A motion would be good.
Make a motion, we appoint Anthony Delmonico to a 1 year position to the town treasurer.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye. Say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
All those against, say no.
She's gone again.
No.
Oh, she's back again.
She's coming back.
Talk to me.
The ayes have it.
You having technical difficulty?
Apparently, it just shut down.
Yeah, you went off the air here. So.
Probably your internet.
Well, we passed it.
Yeah.
He's gonna have 1
Okay.
year.
Well, good. Out front on the counter in the green folder, the form that needs to be signed by the select board. I have a feeling it was going to go for the 1 year, but I printed them both out, one for 1 year, one for 3 years. So
Yeah, Joel and I already signed it.
We just signed
No,
it.
I should say we just signed it.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll keep Val on the old phone there just in case. It's actually pretty impressive since, I mean, we've been
Only
doing
get a
Zoom
dollar
for
a
how
minute
long?
for
And
that phone.
I think this is like the first time
Yeah,
we've
I
ever
only
lost.
get a dollar a minute. Okay, I only get a dollar a minute on my phone.
I'll make a note of that going forward. Yeah, it's not bad. I don't think we've actually lost a lot of people in our meetings, given that we've done so much Zoom over the last year and a half.
I got 4 inches of snow over in the mountain.
I was just gonna say in a minute.
Okay. All right, so that motion passed. So moving on. 8, review and approval of July 12th, July 26th, August 16th, August 23rd, September 13th, and October 25th meeting minutes.
Okay. I'll make
And
a
October
motion.
25th and November 1st. Sorry, Michelle. November 1st special meeting minutes.
Okay, so I'll make a motion and tell me if I get it wrong, Val, to approve the July 12th, the October 25th, the October 25th, and November 1st special meeting minutes. And was it August 23rd or was that not in there?
No, that was not
Okay.
in there yet.
Okay, so those 4, I make a
Just
motion
those
we
4.
approve with my
I
minor
got
changes.
3. Hold on, now, October 25th, I know.
Yep.
Twice.
Yep.
Michelle, which ones again? July 12th, October 25th, November 1st. What's the 4th one?
October 25th special meeting. There's 2
I
October
got the
25th.
25th.
Well, one's a regular meeting and one's a special meeting.
Okay, I
same
didn't
day.
get that from the, okay.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Either Joel or Darla. Take your pick. All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
All right.
All those against say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries for the minutes. Okay. 9, authorize accounts payable warrants and any liquor licenses.
I didn't see any
Obviously.
liquor licenses.
I haven't seen
No.
any either.
And Sharon probably
Yeah.
knows the number.
I'm sure she knows the number.
Good. All right. This has been an easy meeting for me as my first time as being chair. 10.
Ian, we're not done yet.
You never
That's true.
jinx yourself.
That's true. I know. That's true. I shouldn't have said anything. Darn it. 10. Select board roundtable. Michelle.
I'm good.
Joel.
Just had a question. Somebody asked me this weekend, we still looking for a part-time treasurer?
No,
Okay.
at least I don't think so.
You're getting that echo.
Yeah.
Oh, let me hang up the phone.
You're back on now.
Mhm.
All right. Val's back. The snow is getting less over there.
Mhm.
That's it for you, Joel?
And still again, and Eric will back me up on this. I drove down Church Street yesterday. If I'd had my big truck and camper, I'd have smashed that thing because that basketball hoop was 9 feet off the ground and leaning 3 feet right in the street.
Yeah. I don't know if Sharon sent out the memo yet or not.
I think we ought to push them, take the loader and drive around the streets and push them back on their lawn.
Well, we usually do that with the wings. Once the wings go on, and they ain't out of the way yet.
So that's all I have.
What's the more tactful approach? Sorry, Michelle.
Now, Sharon usually puts something on Front Porch Forum, and I thought I read it, but I'm not sure.
I can put it again.
Yeah, I thought you did put it once. You put it about some basketball courts and cutting back their shrubs.
Yeah, I saw the shrub one.
Yeah, I think she had it in the same one.
So if we're not getting responses and people are still having it, do we send a letter? What's the protocol for that?
It gets taken out with the blouse. Really,
what's the right protocol for that?
Yeah, but I'm
If
sure
it tells
there'd be
me
a-
who it is, I send a letter.
Okay. Joel, do we know who it is? Do you know the homeowner?
I'll find out who it is. And there's
Okay.
one that's leaning right in the road. You know where it is, just about Sharon.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. That's all I have.
All right. Darla?
I don't have anything for this evening.
And neither do I. Okay. 11, Town Administrators Report.
Michelle, did you have anything?
No, I didn't. He asked me first. You were kind of gone.
No.
All right. Val, Town Administrators Report, anything to add?
Only that nothing to add to my written report, but I do want to let you know that we did receive one letter so far for the town moderator position and received an inquiry this afternoon from somebody who's interested, and we'll reach out and possibly submit a letter.
Fantastic. That's good to hear.
I know Fred told me he had somebody who was interested, so I don't know if they applied yet or not.
That was that may have been the person that came in this afternoon.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Val. Other business. Correspondence reports. Correspondence received. Anything there?
There's a lot of information in the other business section about the solar project, some updates, and a copy of an article from the Addison Independent.
Yeah, it looks pretty impressive, and I know that they're hoping to do a presentation or a celebration next year. But yeah, it's looking pretty amazing. I've gone 4 times and done some photography with my drone, just sort of capturing the project. And they're actually moving too quick. I need to do more than once a week. I feel like I go there and like half of it's already done. They're moving so quickly. But I watched them put up the panels. It looked pretty easy. Those panels look. I know they're expensive, but they were just like tossing them up there and clicking them on. So it's really coming together. It's quite impressive to see that site be transformed into something that's going to produce clean energy.
And Nick Morehouse has extended an invitation to host a site visit on this Thursday for folks that want to come by. And also Richard Boots has an email about, let's see, to celebrate the commissioning of the project.
Right.
In January, either the 8th or the 15th, a gathering possibly at the school. So it's a preliminary plan, but
I think it's going to be, Rich has been talking to me just because he was asking about the drone footage. The school is unavailable that day, so it's going to be Holly Hall, I think.
Oh, okay.
So when is the tour? Oh, I see. Here's the letter about the tour.
9 a.m. on the 11th at the site.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Some of us have to work.
You can't swan around a new solar field.
No.
Okay, excellent. So the additional other business was the town report discussion.
Correct. Just to recap, at the October 25th meeting, the select board considered some quotes that had been received for the 2021 town report. It received a solicitation from Repro with an offer based upon the specifications from prior years. And they alerted us that due to the paper shortage, the global paper shortage, that costs were going to increase. I expected that the select board would want to know if other bids had been received for the project per our procurement policy. So I reached out to 3 other companies for quotes based upon those specifications. And the one in Middlebury declined. The one in Virgins provided an offer, a quote, but with a different binding, a taped binding rather than what's called perfect binding. And the price was lower. And the company out of New Hampshire, we didn't receive their quote until the next day. So that wasn't available. And because the Repro had given us a deadline of the end of October to get back to them, the select board voted, they needed to make a decision that night, and they voted to go with the company in Virgins based upon the information available. The folks at Repro are objecting to that decision because they felt that they were not provided an opportunity to provide a quote on the other binding. I informed the company in Virgins the next day that they were awarded the contract, the bid, the project. So I feel based upon the information we had at the time, the decision was made and it was communicated to the company in Virgins.
I agree, Valerie. I made that motion that night, and I forget who seconded it, maybe Michelle, but we acted on the, for the taxpayers of Bristol, the information that we had in front of us, and it was $180 cheaper to go with them in Virgins, and we went with them.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, I see Repro's argument, because they gave us quote for perfect binding where the Virgins didn't, because they didn't do perfect binding. So if we wanted to compare apples to apples, we would have had to say, should have gone back to Repro and say, you need to give us a bid for, tape binding and not perfect binding, because that.
Did you ask for a specific binding?
We asked for perfect binding, but Virgins does not do that. So that's why they gave us that.
So I didn't know that. Sorry, Michelle.
Yeah.
So we did ask for perfect binding in the bid?
We did, yeah. At the time of the meeting, we weren't aware of what the difference is. I mean, in terms of cost, there was no indication that there was a difference in cost.
Virgins bid on the project, but
Right.
didn't tell us it wasn't perfect binding.
Yes, they did tell us it wasn't perfect binding.
Oh,
I think
okay.
he did tell us he did not do perfect binding. Is that right, Val?
Correct.
Or is that-
And he also confirmed that he had the paper to do the project. And he also confirmed that he can do the spiral binding as requested.
Right.
Just a few spiral or all?
No, just the.
As many as we want.
Yeah. We usually get a certain amount for the office and for us. And
The specs called for 10.
He couldn't do 300 though. Then we wouldn't have we wouldn't have the perfect binding or whatever discussion, because we're gonna have them all bounded by spiral.
Yeah, I think we made the decision we have to stand by it, but I think that we should say to Repo, you're right. However, we made our decision, and the next time we do this, we'll have to be pretty clear on what we're gonna request in our, or have.
I recommend next time we do it, we ask for a bid for both types of binding. We might find we like the tape binding better. We have a lot of documents in the town office that have that type of binding.
tape or perfect?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
And
it,
then, and
it didn't
tape,
register
tape
to me
won't,
that it was a significant difference.
okay. And tape won't be an issue, seeing as it's different than what we've usually done for the last
I don't believe
decade.
so. I don't
Not for the amount we use them, Ian, I don't think. I mean, if it was something you're gonna use consistently, then the tape binding may not be as durable.
Ideal.
But.
You mean you don't look at your report every day?
Keep it right by my bedstand.
Over and over.
It'll be with me next budget season, but we have spiral ones, so it won't matter.
That's true. That's why we need spiral.
Right.
No, I agree with Joel. I mean, we made the decision. It's unfortunate that, as Val said, it wasn't an apples to apples comparison, and it's just one of those things. We were, under a time crunch to make a decision. We looked at the dollar amount. We also, we each had our own opinions of the different places, and we'd all have positive experiences with each of those printers, or at least the two in question that we've gone with before, and we've used them. So we didn't see any issue with that. I guess I would say I just would invite Repro to bid again next year, since I think this is just a 1-year contract. It's for 2022, and they're obviously welcome to bid again. And this time we'll definitely get the information that we need, and so it can be a direct comparison between the different printers in the area. But obviously I think we try to support as many businesses, local businesses, as we can. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would, if we were talking about a town truck or fire truck or anything that's real expensive, or a loader or grader, and we said we ordered a motor with 500 horse, and they bid on one with 100 horse, and we went with them. They said, oh, it's the same thing. I'd say we change our bid, but we're talking a lot different, and it's, we're not talking. We're talking town report for 1 year. Yeah, we might have screwed up, but we didn't know all the consequences.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you feel, I mean, the fact that Repro, has contacted us twice, do you feel that they're contacting us again? Is there a particular answer that they're looking for? Or they're just sort of,
Well, they've asked the select board to
contract.
allow them. They've asked the select board to allow them to bid on, or to submit a bid with the other binding, but that would not be fair either, because it's published, so they know what the other bids are.
That's right.
Right. And we already have an agreement with the other printer. So I feel like we need to stand by that at this point.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Any executive session this evening?
I don't think so.
Okay, then. There
Make
we
a
go.
motion to
It's,
adjourn.
yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
What you wanted?
Yes, please.
We're gonna have to tell Peter he's gonna have to take off a little more.
That's right.
I think I just got lucky. Thanks, Brett.
Bye, Brett.
We have a motion to adjourn, and we have a second.
Who seconded?
Michelle did.
Oh, thank you.
All those in favor to adjourn, say aye. Raise your hand.
Bye.
Aye.
All those against, say nay.
Darla, come and sign stuff.
The ayes have it. Thank you, everyone.